Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for, thank you to all our witnesses also for coming before the committee to lend their perspective on the issues facing rural veterans. With over 70,000 veterans in my district, in District 6 of Arizona, which encompasses large sections of rural areas, I'm constantly looking for ways to identify gaps of discrepancies in access to housing, medical examinations, and care. I've worked hard to address barriers to access to care for our veterans, specifically disability exams for our rural veterans. Through two different pieces of legislation, I've aimed to increase the number of exams conducted and ease in which our veterans can access exam providers. My bills tackle these challenges by not only expanding the pool of providers who can conduct exams, but also extending the ability for providers to provide care across state lines. Further, I worked with Chairman Tom Cole to introduce H.R. 4155, the Tribal HUD-VASH Act of 2023, which would make permanent the HUD-VASH program a critical effort that ensures our tribal veterans have access to quality housing as well. Veterans of all walks of life deserve a safe place to call home. Now, ensuring those who sacrifice have the opportunity to receive the care and respect they were promised is one of my top priorities here in Congress. The federal government has a solemn duty to ensure our veterans have the care and respect they were promised. And this is a responsibility I don't take lightly. Now, as my first question here to Dr. Ellenhall, a veteran, to your knowledge, are there any steps being taken to specifically reach and inform female veterans in rural communities about relevant VA healthcare services, especially in regard to maternal health?
Yes, Congressman, and we take very seriously the need to focus very closely on the care coordination for women veterans. Every medical center in the country, to include our rural facilities, has a women's health coordinator to be able to guide the care and make sure that we are not seeing lapses in care or unanswered phone calls or missed appointments. And these coordinators have a very busy plate. They're some of the best professionals we have, and so that's just part of our standard work every day. So for example, if a woman needs maternity care, if she becomes pregnant, we have a very intensive care coordination program that helps guide that care in the community because we don't provide direct obstetrical services in our direct care system. Those are just a couple of examples. Mr. Borsler mentioned our community veteran engagement boards. I'm not sure if you have further comments on outreach.
And especially in the Veteran Experience Action Centers, we've hosted successful engagements in American Samoa, the other Pacific Islands, Michigan, Indiana, Montana, other highly rural states, and we'd love to do the same in Arizona in the coming months and years, Congressman. These Veteran Experience Action Centers are essentially 3-day enrollment sprints where veterans will have access to the Veterans Benefits Administration, Health Administration, Cemetery Administration, and the Board of Veterans Appeals to solve their issues. And in many cases, they're talking to multiple administrations about multiple issues they have. And the experience scores that we're seeing from these events are in the 90th percentile. We do a specific outreach to women veterans and minority veterans and Native American veterans so that we can increase the enrollment in those events from those populations.
Well, I definitely want to know more about that. That actually leads into my next question, and that was directed to you, Doctor, but either one of you could answer. How does the Office of Rural Health measure, you guys measure the impact and the effectiveness of the mobile medical units, as well as mobile vet centers, in improving healthcare access and outcomes for rural veterans? And also, if you can mention what steps are taken to adapt these services based on the feedback and needs of our rural veteran communities.
So our mobile medical units, Congressman, just have an incredible infrastructure that can travel around very flexibly. They have areas for being able to draw labs within the vehicle. They often have the ability to beam in to have any provider through telehealth who may be a specialist to come in and serve veterans. And so just really important assets. We've seen from the GAO, but also other oversight bodies, the need for us to better track where these mobile medical units are going, how they are being used, and what the outcomes are. And candidly, that's something we need to work on and better developed in order to meet those recommendations. We've concurred with all of them. And we just want to make sure that we're making maximum use of these assets to reach as many, especially rural veterans, as possible who could most benefit.
Well, it's definitely the goal, and also back to your point, also Mr. Bolster, regarding expanding this to Arizona and those services. I think that's critical. So I look forward to working with you on all this. Thank you so much. Chairman, now you're back.
Dr. Murphy.